all to day 44 of our anthropology lecture series. So on day 43 we have already started the topic 4, political anthropology, and we have studied about the introduction, meaning, definition, and the very basic kind of political structure that exists in the primitive societies, that is the band, right? So today we are going to study a level next to that. For let's if we have to try and see, we had basically divided the tribal political structure, you know, in two broad classifications. That was basically, you can say, state, stateless, right, acephalous, non-acephalous, centralized, uncentralized, like that, right? In that हमने stateless में we had two, that was band and tribe, and then we had chiefdom or archaic states, and then modern states, like this, right? So band we had finished. So today's topic is the tribal political structures, which again comes in the stateless part only. So now let's start and see iske kya features hai, right? So let's start. So basically band हमने देखा, they were the hunter gatherers, very basic. So complexity was not there, right? Very basic kind of living style, very basic kind of needs and all. But as you will see, as we'll go and moving up the ladder, right, the complexity is also going to increase. For example, now these are the tribes which are basically marginal cultivators or horticulturalists, pastoralists, who do shifting cultivation. So that means there is little surplus, because hunting gathering में your hand to mouth, there is no surplus. But marginal cultivation, if you are doing, that means somewhere you have started to understand how to manipulate the environment, right? How to take out a little extra from it. So when this extra would come, with that more complexities would come. So for that it is said ki by and large it will have a multi-centric authority. Multi-centric matlab उधर तो we had seen it was a more of a egalitarian. कितने लोग थे एक बैंड में? The people were like 30 to 50 total, you know, population थी एक बैंड की. So everybody had a say. So by and large वो सब कुछ consensus से कर रहे थे. But here the things are not very egalitarian, because the population is also higher now as compared to the band, and there is surplus also. So now multi-centric authority, that means it is coming from varied other places, right? It's not fully egalitarian, it's not fully authoritative, but then there is diffused, or you can say multi-centric authority, right? Okay. So now acha, let's start with so this is an example, a case study of Newers of Africa, from which you will understand what are exactly the tribe system is all about. First let me show you a thing. अगर हमको further classification करनी हो, because we had talked about the basic classification that there is, अभी उसकी बात हो गई. So in tribe हमको अगर बात करनी, we are talking about tribe. In tribe you can basically further classify it into two categories. One is the kinship based, that means where kinship is the basis of political authority, okay, where kin or relatives are very important. And one would be non-kinship based, okay, where of course kinship will not play a very important role, right? So kinship based and non-kinship based. In kinship based, further we can divide it into lineage based and clan based. Now what are lineages, clans, kinship? All this we have covered in the chapter kinship. So anybody who has not watched that, please go watch them, because again as we go on in the further in the syllabus, the complexity of terms in terms of what are these words, uska that is going to increase. So you need to understand the basics, right? So please go watch those videos, come back to it. And non-kinship में they'll be age based, Okay, so now don't worry what is age based, we are going to study it now, so don't worry about that. Then there will be big man, okay, and village based. So this is now the further classification in tribal political structure, tribe kind of political structure. Okay, so now lineage and clan में there is not a much of a difference. So for to understand basically lineage clan तो you know it ना, जब हम क्या बोलते हैं, we say there are extended families, there are groups of extended families. These extended families के group will further make lineages, right? These lineages will further combine to become clans, then phratries, moieties and tribes. Finally the tribe is going to come. So it's like this. So that means lineages and clans kind of a based structure is not going to be a lot different than each other. It's just that we'll take one example, that is New Year's ka case study, and we'll try to understand it, right? Okay, so now basically first type is only kinship based, so fine. So here the society is divided into unilineal descent groups. So now let's draw and try and understand the whole system, because from here you will be able to understand it a lot better. For example, if I am drawing, this is a area, okay, in which they live or whatever, right? So let me draw these 6 segments, right? So let me try and show you these 6 segments here like that, or let me just make it 8 itself, because then it will be easier for us to understand the whole diagram. Okay, yes, so this is the tribe, the biggest part, right? And then each division we will majorly call it segments. Okay, each division we are majorly going to call it segments. This is the very basic unit of a segment. Basic unit of a segment, that means the smallest divisible part, right? And this would be the maximal unit, right? That means the biggest part of it. So if you can draw it here, like this is the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 that I have depicted over here. So now just try to understand what happens now. So basically, for example, this number 3 is having a fight with number 4 segment, right? So when number 3 and 4 segments are fighting now, all these 1 2 5 6 7 8 are not going to react on it, because if we see clearly now and try to understand these 3 and 4, let me number everything, so then it becomes a lot more easier for us to understand, right? That will give you a lot of good understanding. So the biggest unit is number 15, that is the tribe, and 1 to 8 are the basic units, and then we combine to make bigger units, right? So if you see 3 and 4, there are 2 segments. That means एक सबसे छोटा segment, for example जो basic unit है वो कैसे बना है, that is made up of 3 to 5 families. Okay, so basically they are all rishtedars, they are relatives to each other, they are a part of a very big, not very big, but a big extended family. So that will constitute the basic unit, and then tribe तक जा रहे हैं हम ऊपर, right, like that. So when 3 and 4 are fighting, no 1 2 5 6 7 8 are going to react, 9 10 11 12 nobody is going to react, because they belong to a one bigger super family, that is 10, right? But when when any other person, for example 3 and 2 are fighting, right? When 2 and 3 will have a fight, both 1 and 4 will react. Why? Because 2 is a part of the super family of 9 and 3 is the part of 10, right? So 1 has to support 2 and 4 has to support 3. But in this case also 5, 6, 7, 8 are not going to react, right? So you understand, अगर आपस में लड़ रहे हैं, if they are fighting in amongst them, तो कुछ नहीं होगा. If they are fighting against each other, so then they will react. 1 and 2 will react, but 5, 6, 7, 8 तब भी react नहीं करेंगे because they are part of a different moiety, you can say, right? So उनका half ही अलग है, right? So similarly, if 10 has a fight, so 9 will support it against 11 and 12, right? If 10 and 11 have a fight, then 9 is going to support 10, 12 is going to support 11. If 13 and 14 have a fight, these all units combine to fight against these all units. So you understand. And मान लो this is another tribe, this is 16, tribe number 16. If tribe 16 has a fight, then all these units will combine. So you understand how they have divided them into very systematic segments. कौन सी segment कौन से time पे, which segment which time it is going to combine its forces, it is so systematized. So this is how segmentary lineage or segmentary clan based societies are, right? I hope you have understood. So now let's read about it. They are divided into unilineal descent groups which are mostly patrilineages. Matrilineages भी हो सकते हैं, ठीक है? They are divided into various clans, lineages, segments we have seen. Village divided into smaller segments, we have talked about it. Each segment, the basic unit, the basic most unit would be 3 to 5 generations and extended families, right? They are permanent groupings. Obviously, they know na who will be the part of 1, who will be the part of 9, who will be the part of 13, who will be the part of 15. So that is very, very easy to understand, right? You might be feeling this is so tough to understand, but it's not like that. If you try to understand in your own perspective also. For example, you clearly know who are your mother's relatives. You clearly know who are your father's relatives. You clearly know जब कोई when an insider conversation is happening, who are the people you are going to discuss it with, or if it has to be a larger ceremony, who are all people are going to be invited. So it looks on the face of it that it is very complex, but it isn't, if you understand it, right? Because these are the people you have lived all your life with. So you will exactly know which grouping you are a part of, and especially when it is a unilineal descent group. That means the people are very systematically, the descent is very simple, father to son to son. So they know which lineage, which unilineal descent group they are a part of, right? So now these members are duty bound to combine in times of raid, defense, war, like that, right? So they know when they have to support which group, or either or do they have to support any group or not. Because if two people from the same segment are fighting, then nobody would support anybody, only these will sort their issues out, like that, right? So disputes कैसे होते हैं? They are adultery, property theft, cow theft, like that, right? And it leads to even bloodshed. So now I told you it would be like there is some theft, and you know what was the punishment? Punishment is like they will kill each other. So again, you don't have to see it from the modern rationality, because you know they think other way, right? उनके लिए it is to restore peace and balance, right? It keeps a deterrence also. So like that. And whenever there is a fight, there would be a leopard skin chief. In case of Newers I'm talking about, there will be a leopard skin chief. So basically क्या होता है? For example, they are fighting amongst themselves. Tribe 15 is fighting amongst its own group. So there will be tribe 16, which is a neutral group. What is this? This is a neutral group, and this group has a person called the leopard chief, who will come and solve their all disputes, right? So in case of Newers, they have this kind of a mediator. So I hope you've understood at least the kinship based, where kinship based tribes are there, how the political structure is there. So basically if you see, they have their own leaders. That means every 1, 2, 3, 4 will have their own leaders. Then at the level of 10, 9 they will have different leaders, but tribe is leaderless. That is why it is stateless mein aa raha hai na, because the whole tribe does not have a tribal leader itself. It's only the segments, it's only the smaller segments that operate in their own area, that have their own rules and regulations, that have their own leaders, right? The tribe as such is leaderless. Okay guys, I think I have made myself clear. Any doubt, please go back, watch it again. I am sure that you're going to understand it. And isme, this was the lineage based, right? Isi mein there is clan based also. For that you can say that they are a smaller groups, okay? Either matriarchal ho sakte hai, patriarchal ho sakte hai, right? The leadership is by elders mostly, right? So example for that you can say Native American tribes like Ojibwa, like that, or Somalian clan politics, like that. Okay, so I hope I've made myself clear. So next we are going to read is the non-kinship based, right? So let's start the non-kinship. Isme we are going to read age based, big man and village based, right? So let's start. Okay, I have already told you each segment has own head. They are autonomous groupings. Okay, tribe as such is uncentralized, and examples are Tivs, Masais, like that. Okay, so now let's start the non-kinship based. This is a non-kinship based tribal political structure, right? So in this they are basically pastoralists. Now why only pastoralist, I'll tell you. Okay, let's do it only, then you'll understand the basis of it. Why only pastoralist? Because pastoralist mein kya hota hai, basically the pastoralist tribes have to keep on moving, right? So they are mobile, they have to keep on moving, and when they have to keep on moving they need to protect their whatever little assets they have, right? Their cattle, their sheeps, all of that is their asset only. So if anybody takes them away, if there is any raid, cattle raid is there, so they need to protect it from that. So they have divided responsibilities. They divide the responsibilities into age groups. So what they do, basically age groups mein they will divide the whole group, right? For example, they are a group of 50 members. Now 50, all the 50 cannot be one age, na? There'll be children, there'll be adults, there'll be elders, right? So now they will group the whole 50 people into these groupings, and they have different works. For example, the children will fetch the water, they will clean the premises, because they are not mobile all the time, na? They are semi-nomadic also. That means they stay at one place till the time that they find pasture or fodder for their cattle, right? And then they again start moving. So children will fetch water, they will clean the premises, like that. Adults mostly they look after the security, the warfare. For example, if there is any raid or any kind of attack by other groups, right? So they will protect. And the political leadership is by and large with the elders. So this is a very systematic grouping, because it's very clear cut that who is going to be a part of which group, right? Also, what is the functions or roles played by those groups, and they move into a very systematic way. For example, if the upper age for children is 15 years, and after 15 years, of course this is not the criteria that they are going to use, but it's a hypothetical situation that I'm taking, that after 15 years they will move to the next grouping. That means they'll become the adult groups, okay? And the upper limit, let's take 30, okay? After 30 they will become the part of the third grouping, that is the adults. So now they are going to automatically move in this whole sequence, and they are going to be the same people who are going to move, right? For example, A, B, C were there in this group, right? Then they will move to this group, and then they will move to this group. So ultimately this grouping is for a longer time. They've known each other in the same group because they have to do the same things, right? So they will know each other for the longer time. They will have more closer cooperation and understanding with each other. So there will be no within groups fighting also, right? So society is divided into society is divided into 3 to 4 age groups, right? They have well demarcated obligations, like one has to clean the premises, other has to do the war, or do the security thing, and others like elders, they will see the political authority would be with the elders, right? And their duties are also well demarcated. So political authority is elders के पास होती है, and it is obligatory. That means the other two groups or the other three groups are going to oblige to what the decision has been taken by elders, because they know that they are going to move in that group very soon. That means they will also have the authority with them someday. Second, they believe that the elders have a connect with the supernatural. That means if they do not obey to their elders, they will invite the wrath of supernatural. That means there will be some untoward things that will happen to them, right? So now all the heads, that means the elders are the head, basically political authorities, so elders के पास है. So all the heads are equal. That means if there are like 15 people in this grouping, they all are equal, and the decisions will be taken by consensus, right? So Yakos of Nigeria, Kipsigis of Kenya, right? These are the groups which divide themselves in the age based. So they are both warriors, and इसमें in Kipsigis there are warriors and elders. They divide it like that, and then Masai also uses this method. Yes. So next is the headman. Next category is the headman. So now headman, in headman what happens is na, for example, this is a group, and they have like 100 people in their grouping, right? It's a group of 100 people. So now ultimately what will happen na, any person who shows very good personal qualities, like he's good at hunting, he's good at leading the group, right? He is a problem solver, he is somebody who does a lot of charity, right? For example, if there's a hunt, he gives his own share to other people, right? So anyway, he has certain admired personal qualities, so he will become the leader, he will become the big man. So in this there are a lot of things. First, that this position is not hereditary because it is merit based, right? So when it is merit based, that means always there will be some competition to achieve this position, because then there will be other contestants as well who will always feel like we also can be the big man or the head man, because we also have these qualities, right? So these kind of societies you will find in Melanesia, right? So this was all about the tribes. Now let's do the emergence of a state kind of a system from a stateless societies. And yeah, so basically we were talking that in the starting it was only hunting and gathering that was taking place, right? It was hunting and gathering kind of societies, which were basically only hand to mouth, right? And there was no complexity, no surplus, basically no surplus. So then when there is no surplus, societies are very small, population is very small, so they do not need any political authority. But when societies like pastoralism, marginal cultivation came in, as we saw, the complexity a little bit grew. It grew because the population increased, and with the population increase, surplus was also seen. That means there was little surplus at this time, right? So now to protect this little surplus and to protect yourself against others, because there is competition, right? For the same resources there is competition amongst groups, right? So to protect from competition, some kind of a political authority was needed. ठीक है, political authority was needed, which came in terms of either tribal societies, जहाँ पे हमने यहाँ पे there was band, right? Here it came the tribe. Now as the tribes also grew, because now the societies are becoming a lot more complex. Why? Because now agriculture has come in, communities are more settled. So when they are more settled, they can enter into a perpetual, or you can say long term fights with each other. Why? Because now neighbors are set. Now for example, India cannot move anywhere else, Pakistan is always going to be its neighbor, so there will be fights, right? So when agriculture grew, complexity grew, there are people who are going to live with you for a longer time, so fights will be there, more political authority would be needed, more rules and regulations will be needed. So that brought us to a much complex state, and that was a state society. That means with more rules and regulations, with more authority, right? So I hope I've made my point clear. We have already completed band, we have already completed tribe. So next is chiefdom. I think we should complete this also, because chiefdom will come in the primitive state only. That means stateless societies we have done, and now we are starting with state. State mein we are doing the primitive state, and then primitive state you can say chiefdom, you can say kingdoms, you can say basically archaic states, basically not modern states, archaic states. Tomorrow we will do the modern state and finish the whole stateless and state kind of societies. So if we have to draw based on the complexity, I would say band here, tribe here, then you will be chiefdoms and archaic state, and then modern state. Modern state we will do tomorrow, right? So now let's see what the chiefdom is all about. I want to take you back to the Rigvedic era, because if you'll see or try to imagine it from the perspective of Janas, na, so a lot will be clear to you. Janas, Mahajanas, right? So उसमें क्या होता था? There was permanent political authority. Whether it is hereditary, whether it is merit based, that is not the question. The question is that there is, every time there is going to be a head who is going to take care of the group, right? There used to be territory, because what was Jana? If we go back to the meaning of Jana, that was jahan pe the territory only, right? Mahajanas would be bigger territories, right? So that means now the concept of territory has also come in, which makes one of the components of state. हमने कल बात किया था, right? They were more efficient in warfare. Why? Because they had a full-time control, political authority. Now this person could keep a full-time army, right? So that way they were more efficient. Sometimes they will have in lakhs. Okay, lakhs में भी हो सकते हैं इनके military, right? So examples would be Trobriand and Tongas in Pacific, Zulus and Asante in Africa, Indian Janas of Rigveda. They had defined territories. So then if we take a case study of Polynesians, or I should say you should take the case study of Janas only, as we were discussing. Complex political structure, yes, because there is a chief. Chiefdom mein there will be a chief. Chief can have like small chiefs also, or group chiefs also, right? So he can have small chiefs, and then there will be the larger population. So then ranks were hereditary. So now you see na how from merit based, जैसे हमने देखा, things have now become hereditary, right? There will be classes, social classes, like there will be commoners, right, like artisans, agriculturalists. Then there will be an military class, right, who will take care, and then there will be a ruling class. like this. Now the societies have become a lot more unequal, a lot more structured, right? And the things have already become hereditary, that means everything is based on birth, right? Then islands are divided. In case of Polynesia, islands are divided into chiefdoms ruled by paramount chief. This is what I am talking about, that there will be small chiefs who is going to in turn be ruled by a bigger chief, who is the paramount chief, that means the bigger chief. Now this big chief often is thought of as being as having divine rights, that means he is the person, जैसे कि इंडिया में भी बहुत सारे kings used to identify themselves with gods, right? So this is that only, and they had divine rights. They used to collect tribute because in turn they used to protect the area. So they for protection, for all of that, there was tributes that were given to the chiefs. So I think you've understood this. In the archaic states, we are also going to study about estate kind of states that were there in Europe. So we'll that's a very very small topic, like it'll take us 1 or 2 minutes to discuss. We'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow we'll do the modern state and the rest of the part of this chapter. I'll try to complete it by tomorrow. If not tomorrow, if there are any other topics that I need to discuss in this chapter, then day after tomorrow we'll finish this chapter, right? So guys, if you like it, please like, share and subscribe. And guys, you're not sharing. I am not happy with the response that I'm getting. I am putting in a lot of effort for you guys, so please guys, I really humbly request you to please like, share and subscribe, and please do let your other fellow aspirants also know about the initiative, right? So thank you so much.